Antarbahishcha vrittaye vyayonya. Chami kalena na yasya viplavas. Tasyatma loka varanasya moksham. Hare Krishna.
Jijivishenaham ihamuyakim.
Jivishenaham mihayakim.
Sarvahischar chavrittaye vayonya. Sarvahischar vrittaye vayonya. Kalena nayasya vitlavas. Ichami kalena nayasya vitlavas. Tasyatma loka varanasya moksham. Tasyatma loka varanasya moksham. Jijivishenaham ihamuyakim. Jijivishenaham ihamuyakim. Antarvahischa vitaye vayonya. Antarvahischa vitaye vayonya. Ichami kalena nayasya vitlavas. Ichami kalena nayasya vitlavas. Asyatma loka varanasya moksham. Asyatma loka varanasya moksham. Jijivishena ihamuyakim. Antarvahischa vitaye vyayonya. Ichami kalena nayasya vitlavas. Tasyatma loka varanasya moksham.
Jijivishe wish to live long. Na not. Aham I. Iha in this life. Amuya or in the next life. I do not wish to live upon being saved
I do not wish to live upon being saved
from this dangerous position. Kim,
Kim.
what is the value?
What is the value?
Antaha, internally, by externally, cha, and abritaya, covered by ignorance, ibhayonya, in this birth as an elephant, ichami, I desire, kalena, because of the influence of time, na, there is not, yasya, of which, viplavaha, annihilation, tasya, that, atmaloka avaranasya, from the covering of realization, moksham, liberation. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I do not wish to live anymore after I am released from the attack of the crocodile. What is the use of an elephant's body covered externally and internally by ignorance? I simply desire eternal liberation from the covering of ignorance. That covering is not destroyed by the influence of time. In this material world, every living entity is covered by the darkness of ignorance. Therefore, the Vedas enjoin that one should approach the Supreme Lord through the spiritual master, who is described offered prayers in the Gautamiya Tantra as follows. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I offer respectful obeisances unto my spiritual master, who with the torchlight of knowledge opened my eyes, which were blinded by the darkness of ignorance. Although one may struggle for existence in this material world, to live forever is impossible. One must understand, however, that this struggle for existence is due to ignorance, for otherwise every living being is an eternal part of the Supreme Lord. There is no need to live as an elephant or man, American or Indian. One desire only to achieve liberation from the cycle of birth and death. Because of ignorance, we consider every life offered by nature to be happy and pleasing. But in the degraded life within this material world, the life of Lord Brahma down to that of an ant, no one can actually be happy. We are making so many plans to live happily. There cannot be any happiness in this material world. However, we may try to make a permanent settlement in this life or that. Mukam karoti vachalam pangate grim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Ragunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Sha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagat Pate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Pranamami Hari Priye Anchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubheva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. We are reading Gajendra's prayers of surrender. And in this verse, Gajendra is expressing his desire to end his material life. In other sense, he wants to commit suicide. And he's very clear about it because he experienced very dangerous and awkward situation where he had to struggle very hard for existence. Because first he thought he will enjoy in the heavenly planets as a king of elephants with his wives or girlfriends or lovers, whatever. But then this crocodile attacked him, and he had no chance to survive the situation, being attacked in the water. The elephants, they don't on the earth. So he found this no other solution for his dangerous situation just to surrender to Krishna, to Narayan, to God, because uh, somehow he remembered these prayers from his previous life as a king, I think Indradyumna, right? Yeah, so he was a devotee in previous life, and he must have forgotten the time of death, and he was rewarded with heavenly planet's birth as a king of elephants. But then he understood actually he couldn't be happy. That's what Srila Prabhupada describes in the purport, that we make so many plans to live happily, but there cannot be any happiness in the material world. But still we try and we search for permanent settlement in this life. So he understood there is no permanent settlement. And I think it's described that he was fighting crocodile for 100 celestial years, which is quite a long time. We can't imagine that, fighting with somebody in the pool or in the water for 100 years. And he was lucky that he remembered the prayers to the Supreme God, that he didn't call for any demigods or any other being that people normally call for help when they are in a dangerous situation. Like his wives, they didn't call like some police or, call the police, the crocodile is attacking our king, our husband, or they didn't call the army, celestial army, or they didn't call some like Brahma, Shiva, or some other demigods to help, even Indra. No, he called the Supreme Lord, and then when the Supreme Lord appeared, he actually didn't want to continue with this type of life. He wanted to commit a suicide, and Krishna fulfilled his desire. He made him into his eternal servant in the spiritual world. He attained this Sarupya Mukti. He got the similar body as Narayan, and he entered the Vaikuntha planet. So you can see how powerful these prayers are, especially in the time of death. Because for him, this was the time of death, and no other way out. So the demigods, they remember Krishna or Narayan, Vishnu, when they are in a dangerous situation. That's why they are called Sura. Sura means they take shelter of Krishna in that time of danger. Because in their normal life, in their normal heavenly times, they enjoy so much that they forget about Krishna. And they are overwhelmed by the sense pleasures that we can't even imagine in the heavenly planets, what they enjoy there. If you compare it with here, like there was some brahmachari in India. He was very austere, and he was rejecting any sense pleasures. And somebody asked him, like, why is he doing such a tapasya? And he said he wants to go to this heavenly planets to enjoy there. So is that here there's no enjoyment, if you compare it with the heavenly planets, So this is like a karma kanda, where people will enjoy their results of their pious activities. So, but Gajendra, he was tired of it, He knew it's just too much struggle. And even though he tried his best to attain his wives, still he wasn't happy. So he was lucky he remembered Krishna at the time of that. And it was the result of his previous devotional activities and from his previous life. So it's amazing to see how Krishna does not forget his devotees, and he rewards them. He puts them in such situations that they will remember him. So obstacles are actually the servants of Krishna. Indra was a great obstacle, but Krishna removed it with his Sudarshan Chakra, and he killed this crocodile. And the crocodile is described here in the next chapter that he was once King Huhu. Interesting name, isn't it? Huhu. Imagine you are a king and you have name Huhu.
How's it spelled?
Oh,
How's it spelled?
Huhu. Huhu. So this King Uhu, he was once also enjoying with woman in the water, and while he was enjoying, he pulled the leg of Devala Rishi. He was also taking bath in that water, and the sage became very angry and he immediately cursed him to become a crocodile. In his next life, Uhu was very sorry when he was cursed in that way, so he begged pardon from the sage, and in compassion, that sage gave him the benediction that he would be freed when Gajendra was delivered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the crocodile, he also received the mercy of Narayan, which is also interesting. It's not an ordinary thing to be killed by Narayan, isn't it? Like most of the living entities, they are killed by Durga, by the material nature. And they are taken to Yamaraj for judgment. But this crocodile, he also received this blessing in disguise from the sage, Devala Rishi, and he was also killed by Narayan, and he was tried. he acted in a like demoniac way as a crocodile, but his demoniac tendencies were purified by the touch of the Sudarshan chakra, which cut off his head. And we see similar situation with Shishupal. Do you remember Shishupal? How he was trying to spoil the sacrifice of Maharaj Yudhishthir. Maharaj Yudhishthir was performing this Rajasuya sacrifice, which is very difficult to perform. Actually, it's one of the most difficult sacrifices because he has to subjugate all other kings on the earth to become the emperor. He has to collect taxes from them. Then, with these taxes, he performs the sacrifice. And on that sacrifice, he pointed for the most near, the most supreme person, to Krishna. Krishna was present there, but Shishupal was trying to destroy this yagya by being killed. If he would be killed, like the blood would be split, the sacrifice would be nullified, the results would be nullified. But he was criticizing Krishna in front of all the Kurus, and the Pandavas are there, all like great sages, and even the demigods are there, and they're getting angry. Especially the Pandavas are getting very angry. But Krishna, he waited very. He very tolerated these offenses against him, and then in the end, he killed him with Sudarshan chakra, and such no blood was spilled. So basically, like kind of disinfected his body and his head in such a way that the purity of the sacrifice wasn't broken. So that's also the mercy of God when he body personally, that the person may achieve mukti, may achieve like Sayojya mukti or Sarupya mukti. Many demons in past times achieved this liberation when Krishna killed them. They merged into Krishna's body. They merged into Brahman Jyoti, and later they also went back to the spirit. So Srila Prabhupada describes in the purport that in the material world, all living entities covered by the darkness of ignorance. Therefore, we have to approach the Supreme Lord through the spiritual master. And this famous prayer is there from Gautamiya Tantra, which says, which I offer my respectful obeisances unto my spiritual master, who with the torchlight of knowledge has opened my eyes, which are blinded by the darkness of ignorance. So we live in the ignorance, we are this material body, and then we suffer because we want to live happy and eternally. These are two types of illusion. One illusion is called Vaikuntha Brahma. Vaikuntha Brahma means I think I will live eternally. We make such a plans that we think we will be here forever. We take like mortgages, to buy houses or flats 40 years sometimes. It's a long time because we think we'll so long, and even when we pay it off, then we live even longer and we eternally enjoy it. But that has to end. One day it will end with death, and the soul will leave the body. But luckily, the soul is Satchitananda. It's eternal, Sat, and the soul is looking for eternity in the wrong place. But people build like big houses or even castles because they think they will live there eternally. Like I've been to Radhadesh castle temple, which is like built from a granite. This granite material is like one of the best according to Vishwakarma, according to the architect of the dead gods. and one of the oldest temples in the universe are built of granite because it lasts, for yugas, for millions of years. So people they tend to build such a castle because they think they will live there eternally. But if you go to the forest in Rada, there's like a lot of forests around. Then you find there's actually the graveyard of the previous owners. Those who build the castle, they are buried there, and they wanted to live eternally, but they couldn't. Of course, they got so much credits because it's used as a temple now. So I'm sure they must have attained some like higher births or even become devotees at a certain point of their existence. And the other not illusion, it's called Ananda Brahma. Ananda Brahma means we think we'll enjoy, we'll be happy, if we buy like whatever we want, whatever luxuries in the world that are available, the thing we will be happy. Like nowadays, it's very interesting. There's a study being done what people spend their money most on. What do you think? What it is? What do you think that people spend their money on most?
Cars.
Huh?
Well, I mean, there's many things, no?
There are many, of course. Like people, they have to buy food for sure. They have to travel. This is like a basic needs. But what they spend their money most?
If you live in LA, like I do, you spend all your money on rent.
Yeah, exactly. But like worldwide studies, the people spend their money most on luxuries of their life, like diamonds. Like in California, it's very popular to buy like diamond rings, diamond earrings, or even diamond teeth. It's called the grill. Yeah, they think it's like this is like the goal of life. To be rich and buy diamonds and have like diamonds chains or whatever. And yeah, people even though they don't have so much money like they used to have, like in previous yuga, Dvapara Yuga, people, Treta Yuga or Satya Yuga, people are super rich. Nowadays, if you compare like our possessions, those times, it's like we are compared very poor. But yeah, people, they even though they don't have so much money, they still want these luxuries of life. And like for example, in Slovakia, people, they gamble a lot. Gambling is like the top industry on the first place on profits for the whole year. It's gambling, and it's also connected with these luxuries of life because they know they can't buy it. It's so expensive, so they gamble because by gambling you can get quickly like big money, but mostly you lose because that's the business of the gambling, isn't it? It's the casino always wins, unless somebody is like a professional gambler. Then the normal people, they lose. Like 85% people lose their money on gambling. But I have a friend, he's like a professional gambler. I checked his astrology and he has like that tendency. So he's winning, but it's cheating actually. He found this like a loophole, and he's cheating way, but he makes big money. But most of the people don't know about this loophole, and they don't know that this gambling is made in such a loose, like uh, like one influencer, he buy these tickets like a lotto or whatever, where you smell it and you find some numbers and then you can win. He buy like for $10,000 these tickets, and how much he will win, and he won only 2,000 back. So that's how it is. And it's unfortunate that this is like it's a very, very sinful thing because it can destroy not just your family life or everything. You can just lose everything and just end up like a person on the street with big debt and without any sometimes even money to buy food. It's a great addiction, it is gambling. I had a classmate, Hare Krishna. I had a classmate who also lost everything in gambling. His family's house, everything, they have to move out, and he's hiding because he has a great debt. So this can destroy the whole lives, the whole families. and it's better to earn money in an honest way and depend on Krishna. And it says in the Mahabharata that a person who has no debt and is living simply is happy in this world. Because when you have debts, you can't sleep sometimes. Just you're thinking about how will I pay it off? When will I pay it off? What if I lose my job? What will happen? Like in America, there's so much debt. It's the most indebted country. America has, USA has the strongest economy yet. It's the most indebted country, and the debt is rising every day, every hour, and it's not possible to pay it off. There's no way to pay it off. It's only increasing. So what will happen? But I've seen it. I've been to California, and people basically they buy everything on debt, isn't it? Like cars, even rent and mobile phones. Everything is on. You have to pay it off. And normal people, they how to say, they surrender it to this trick. It's a trick from the banks, basically, because in the 60s and 70s and the country, there's so many hippies in America, like the students, and they want to work. They were living like homeless people, but they're searching for some higher purpose in their life. So the banks, they realize they have to indebt the students, otherwise they will not work. They'll be like hippies. So they started to create this like when you reach 18 years or I don't know 21 years, they send you a credit card, or they if you want to go and study in university, the scholarship is so high that you have to take that, and sometimes people they have to go to army to pay off this university. So that's like a modern slavery when the banks they indebt people to work for 30-40 years, otherwise they'll turn into hippies. So it's better to have no debt and live simply and have honest earning and depend on Krishna. That's also Maharaj Yudhishthir's formula for success. Do you know his formula for success? It's in the Mahabharata. Says you have to endeavor with knowledge, and for the result, depend on Krishna. And then you can be successful. So even though we try our best to be successful in whatever field of our work or service we do, but still we have to use the knowledge. And in the Vedas, we have so much knowledge, more than we can use, more than we can really apply in our lives. And but ultimately, we have to depend on Krishna on the result, because he's the controller and enjoyer. So whatever we do, the result depends on him. So that's what Maharaj Yudhishthira describes, the formula of success. People are looking for success in life, but this is the formula. It's very simple. It's very simple, and the knowledge of the Vedas is it's unbelievable. What it offers to us is simply amazing. Like we have 14 different branches of knowledge described in the Vedas. For example, Ayurveda. I'm dealing with Ayurveda, and it's amazing what it can do. And there's so many rules described that we can't follow in Kali Yuga, but we can try, and we can get the great results. And health-wise, health is also important for sadhaka. Somebody who's performing sadhana bhakti, to be healthy, because if you're sick, it's difficult to wake up for much. It's difficult to do some service when we're lying in a bed with pain, with fever, with whatever problem we might have. So Ayurveda describes this season which has started Vasanta Ritu. It's the spring season. And the spring season is very interesting because New Year, like normal people celebrate New Year in December, but New Year actually starts with the spring season. Even logically, like when the winter is finished, then the year is finished. And the winter is finished when the spring is starting a new cycle in the nature, in our bodies. Of course, our bodies, these material bodies, yantra ruda, it's based on the same elements, and it works on the same principles as the universe around us. So in the winter time, according to Ayurveda, we collect mucus in our body, kapha. It's increasing over a few months. It's reaching like the maximum. And when the spring season comes, then this kapha is awakened to the most highest degrees, because the sun is closer to the earth and it's heating up the nature on our bodies, and it's dissolving this mucus. So the mucus comes out, and it's creating like cough, cold, fever, flu, influenza, respiratory diseases. So Ayurveda prescribes for this season to follow like a special diet, to avoid like eating heavy food like sweets, fried food, cold water, because it all only increases mucus in our body. So Ayurveda prescribes for the spring season eat more like bitter, astringent, and spicy food, hot food, to balance this kapha. And like dry sabji, actually eggplant is very good to balance kapha. And yeah, the Vedas, they give us so much knowledge that we can utilize in our life, that we can use it also as a livelihood to be successful in a way that we can earn enough to maintain the family, because that's not easy in Kali Yuga to maintain the family. It's like, how many devotees that you know their own living, or like a house or flat, you know? Not so many, isn't it? And it's difficult because imagine like you live like a brahmachari for some years, you distribute books, you travel around, you preach. Then when you want to get married, you end up you have nothing. You just have your own orange roti, and unless you have some legacy from parents or you have some extra good luck, Krishna sends you some big money. It's very difficult to get a house, get a flat, and basically you have to start from the zero. But by doing this devotional service as a brahmachari, you collect so much pious credits. You get so much sukriti, this bhakti sukriti. You can actually exchange this bhakti for money. You know, it's not a good deal. Exchange bhakti for money. You can do that, and many devotees do it. When they go in their next life, they don't go to spiritual world, but they take birth as demigods, for example, like Indra or Varuna and Vayu or Agni. Surya, different demigods. These were devotees from the Kali Yugas, from the previous ISKCON devotees, the previous Kali Yugas, you know, like Indra. It must have been some devotee being a temple president, and he had to deal with money and woman. Now he got desire for that, got birth as Indra. You know, then Krishna rewards him with money and woman as much as he likes, and then yeah, the next life can go back to the spiritual world. So the demigods, they are like Kanishta Adhikaris from their previous lives, the devotees who didn't make it directly to the spiritual world, but yeah, basically they enjoyed their credits. They exchanged their bhakti for money, prestige, for power, for woman, for enjoyment. You can do that. You can do that, but it's not recommended. Of course, it's not ideal, and Gajendra is such an example. But he made it. He was lucky. He made it. He's a great example of devotee who returned back to the spiritual world. It took him one more lifetime than he was expecting, but yeah, he made it. It was painful to fight 100 years with the crocodile. It was very painful. That pain purified him. So if we have pain, it's like Krishna's special mercy, you know. That pain, physical, mental pain, purifies our existence, and then we can surrender to Krishna more, more sincerely. Because when we don't have pain, we still have the tendency to enjoy and to control. It's called Ishvara Bhav. Ishvaroham Aham Bhogi. When we think I am the controller and I'm also there, we have that tendency in the beginning stages of devotional service. We want to control our devotional service that we do. We want to control our service, and we also tend to enjoy it sometimes, isn't it? Like Mahaprasharam. Like in Radha Darshan, you basically eat your way back to Godhead. It's possible. I tried it. It works, but you get some pain, you know, like digestive issues, etc. It's painful. But I can do it like the 6 times per day offerings of Mahaprasharam. So since morning till evening, you can just eat your way back to Godhead. But it will be painful, and that pain will purify that tendency to enjoy it. So basically, how we enjoy being enjoyed by Krishna. That is the way we enjoy, because every living being is looking for happiness. Anandamayo Prasad, that famous aphorism. Every living being is looking for happiness and love. Well, we get it by serving Krishna, by serving Guru, by serving the devotees. And even in the family life, we have to see the wife, the children as devotees and serve them, then we can be happy. If we think, well, we'll be happy just, having family, that's also illusion. We can be happy in the material world only by doing devotional service. So we have to live the family life also in such a way that it's a devotional service and there is a surrender, because ashram means to surrender, to take shelter. So that taking shelter, then we can actually enjoy being enjoyed by Krishna. What is the time? You have some questions or some commentaries? Sometimes maybe also only serving wood. So the question is like how to protect from that anxiety, or yeah. Well, Srila Prabhupada says that we have to tolerate that urge to enjoy and not to approach it directly. But strong association and strong sadhana should protect. But for the man, it's of course it's difficult, because the soul and the man's body has to learn to control these tendencies more than in a female body. So that's why the two principles for the man are there in brahmacharya, to learn the self-control and being safe towards the needs of others. So the self-control, there are so many different practices that we can do if the enjoying tendency is there. There's the different kriya, like yoga techniques, like the bandha. You know bandha? Mahabandha. When you close the gates, the three main gates on the body, and you raise the energy to the brain. It's called Urdhvareta Saha. First, like you press the perineum, you raise the energy, then you close the bandhas, and you nourish your brain with this energy, and that nourishes your brain in such a way that you might have like a photographic memory, like Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur had. So there's different techniques, but I must say it's not easy. And Yeah, most of us, we have to get married. We can't be like an Ashtika his whole life. We have to go through the drill of the family life. You didn't learn it in the temple on the Bhakta program, being on the temple commander, then you have at home your own temple commander, the wife. She's the commander there, and that's there you can't escape it. You know, in the temple you can escape it. You can say, "Oh, I'm getting sick. I have to go back to my parents, and I can't be sick in the temple." So basically, you can escape the temple commander. When you're in a family situation and you live close with the wife, you can't escape it. And she will give you that sauce sometimes. For not being sensitive, for example, or not being self. You know, the woman they are good at it. They know how to control the man by emotions. So yeah, the real family life is there, and there some enjoyment is allowed. So it gives that experience. Family life gives that experience, being satisfied by not getting the satisfaction. You know that concept? Who was that? Great king. Yeah, he took the youth of his son because he wanted to prolong his enjoyment. But then after he reached that relation that he cannot be satisfied in the material life, in family life, then he gave it back, and then he left the body. But yeah, that realization is needed. To be satisfied, we can't get a real satisfaction in this material world. It's very important, the realization. And all the living beings, they have to go through it. Even Lord Brahma, he's living this married life in Grihastha ashram, and he's also getting this realization. He's a pure devotee, and yeah, we can follow the examples of the great devotees described in the Vedas. They've done it, and they achieved success. It's like a lifetime practice. Prepare for it, for your time of death, when you can remember Krishna. That's the most important time of your life. And it's amazing, this concept, because normally materialists, they consider of that like this the greatest tragedy, because everything is finished for them. But for devotee, time of that is actually like the happy time. It's the time when they return back to Krishna. A completely different, opposite concept. There is a story. This great sage, he was going through the village, and he met a butcher, a prince, and a brahmachari. And he said to the butcher, "You better don't live, you better don't die." So the prince, he said, "You better live but don't die." And to the brahmachari, he said, "You better don't live but die." And then people ask, "Why? What do you mean by these words?" So then he gave a class and explained the butcher is causing so much suffering by killing the animals, and his life has no use even now, and in his next life he will suffer so much in the hellish planet. For him, better not to live and better not to die. For the prince, is enjoying so much right now, but then later have to take consequences and suffer for this enjoyment in his next life. So better he lives now, but better he doesn't die. And for the brahmachari, he's doing so much tapasya, so much suffering for the service of Guru, Krishna, that he better die. For him, it's like that is a liberation. Yeah, so the real happiness is for the devotees. Like you probably have that experience. You've seen like devotees and non-devotees. You've been to non-devotees also close. I can imagine you have families which are not everybody's devotee, and you see that people they suffer, so much. To drink alcohol, take some drugs or something, they do to forget about suffering, to have this false feeling of happiness and enjoyment, but that actually it's just illusion, and they suffer so much. They just don't want to admit it. The devotee, he understood that. He realized that he's suffering. He admits that. He knows his mistake and he's working on that and he's trying to serve Krishna. So he's the happiest person. Devotees are the most happy people that I met. Yeah. So by getting higher taste, you can overcome this enjoyment. But it's not easy always to get a higher taste. It's like we have to work hard for it. Myself that this higher taste, like once you achieve it, it will be there eternally. But I was mistaken because you have to work hard for it every day. You have it like there's some festival, you do something really special, you get like very very high taste, and you get like a Krishna consciousness, and you feel like you're blessed and you feel elevated. But sleep, and you wake up and it's gone. It's not there anymore. You have to work again hard to get some drops of this mercy, to get the higher taste and build it up and again until you achieve this platform of bhava bhakti. And sadhana bhakti, sadhana means practice. You have to work hard for it. When you come to the platform bhava bhakti, then even in your sleep, you still have your bhava. You don't lose it in sleep. And when you come to prema, that's it. You're there. Yeah, it's a practice. Yeah, something else.
I'm not ready to make a comment on those questions, but I consider my senior, but I'm just thinking that spiritual master is actually always so encouraging, right? Regardless of us thinking like we have a propensity to try and enjoy. He's always encouraging, like whether you're brahmachari, like you brahmachari, then he's encouraging you to be brahmachari, and then somehow you don't make it in grihastha, then he's giving you all this encouragement in grihastha life, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, it's actually amazing mercy of the spiritual master of Guru Death. It's causeless, you know. There's no cause of it. It's just causeless. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur sings, "Griye tako, vane tako." Like whenever you are in the forest or in the family life, it doesn't matter. Just chant the holy name, just practice devotional life, and it doesn't matter in what situation you are. Just don't give up, you know. And this is a new concept in Vaishnava tradition. It's not new, but it's new in Kali Yuga, you know, because things there. It's for another lecture. This history of Gaudiya tradition or Sampradaya. But to make the long story short, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, you know, he came to Radhakund in leather shoes and driving a Rolls Royce. Can you imagine, you know? And the Babajis are like, their mind is just, you know, spinning. What's happening? You know, this person is claiming to be like a Vaishnav sannyasi, and he's like leather shoes, and driving a Rolls Royce. This is like English way of life. You know, this is like an English concept. Like even the car, it's like luxurious car. You know, but yeah, it was started. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he renewed this. Like you can be in a nice family situation, surrounded by opulence, whatever is required for your service. Still, you can be devotee, and you can be pure devotee, and you can achieve perfection of life. So the luxury is not the problem. Problem is when we think it's us or our property, when we identify with it, that's the problem. And when we try to enjoy it, that's the problem. Because there's the story of Sudama Vipra, who actually got such opulence we can't even imagine. It's beyond this material world. There's like the richest people nowadays. They don't have such opulence like he got, but he wasn't influenced by it. And with his wife, he was practicing pure devotional service. So it's not a new concept, but for a long time in Vaishnavism in Kali Yuga, there was the concept that you have to really be renounced. You have to renounce everything, take sannyas cloth or have a saffron cloth, and touch even the money or like that, renounce everything. But this the modern Vaishnava acharyas, they teach by their example that you can utilize that property, the money, influence, power, woman, etc., fame and glory in Krishna service. That's the yukta vairagya. You are not to it, but you utilize it for Krishna, and then by that you achieve also perfection.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, we have like 3 minutes. You have something else?
Yeah, I guess some of the verses and the purports leading up to this one, Srila Prabhupada glorifies the position of like not want like ahituki bhakti, not wanting anything, not even wanting liberation. Then it seems Gajendra, his aim is still separated from his situation, and yeah, I don't. Yeah, I was just kind of noting that the question hasn't exactly
Yeah.
been clarified for me, but I don't want to diminish
Gajendra.
his extraordinary position and surrender.
Yeah.
Also recognizing that there's other aspirations in bhakti. There's other aspirations beyond being liberated from one situation. I suppose like elephant form isn't the most conducive for continued spiritual life. So even he's freed from the precarious situation with the alligator. Continue that life, isn't.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Thank you for that. Very good question. This Gajendra, he realized this elephant body is not the best devotional service. Of course, he tried. He grabbed the lotus flower and offered it when when Narayan appeared to him. He offered that flower, and yeah, even the praise. But his surrender is not the highest type of surrender. Like, do you have different types of bhakti in Goloka, in Vaikuntha, in Ayodhya, in Dvaraka, in Mathura? The different types of surrender. You can say, like in Vraja, Goloka, in Vraja Vrindavan is the highest surrender, Atma Nivedana. We have no desire for even liberation, no for nothing, and zero. And this is the highest surrender. Vraja Vrindavan. That's that. By that highest surrender, you achieve the highest as being one of the Krishna's associates in Vraja Vrindavan. But of course, there are different type of devotees. That's why there are also different type of Vaishnava sampradayas, which if you follow different sampradayas, you go to different places. All the Vaishnava sampradayas, they go to the same place. They all go to the spiritual world, but even in the spiritual world, there's a hierarchy, and it's unlimited. There are different places where you can go. Like in Shri Sampradaya, you go to Vaikuntha planets, where you have also that desire for opulence. So there you get Sarupya Mukti, you get the same body as Narayan. You get the Lakshmi Devi life. Can you imagine? You get the same opulence as Narayan. As you get that in Vaikuntha. But the tinge of material desire, that's why it's like Aishwarya is prominent there in Vaikuntha. But in Goloka, there's only about the relation. Like Sudama Vipra, he got this full surrender in him because he was living in such a poverty for so long. He got so much purified that his surrender was full. He wasn't interested to give anything to Krishna which wasn't worthy, and he didn't ask for anything from Krishna in a material sense. No desire for material opulence. And Lakshmi Devi, Rukmini, she is expansion Shakti Radharani, but she's in Dvaraka. So in Dvaraka, they kind of know Krishna is God, but they still like to have a nice relationship with him. But the tinge of Krishna is God is there. And Sudama Vipra, what he saw in Dvaraka, like So many devotees, just we can't imagine that. Sometimes we think we come to the festival like Radha Dash Melons, they 2 times, we think it's overcrowded, you know. Then imagine you go to Dvaraka, you know, the billions of devotees. But of course, because it's unlimited place, enough space for everybody, you know. But there are billions, you know. And he saw that, like there's different palaces, and he saw the opulence is like you can't imagine nowadays. You don't see such a place as Dvaraka today. But he saw it and he was like amazed, like these devotees, they live in such opulence serving Krishna. He didn't come to ask for that. He came because he wanted to see Krishna. And he also wanted to please his wife because it's also important in family life to please the woman. She must be satisfied, you know. It's very important. Otherwise, the family life won't work properly if the woman is not satisfied. So because of these 2 reasons, he went, but didn't ask anything for Krishna. But he came in this Atmanivedana and a full surrender. That's why Rukmini, she stopped Krishna from eating rice because she realized she can't supply for that full surrender. You know, if it was in Vrindavan, Vraja Vrindavan, then Shrimati Radharani, she wouldn't hesitate. But in Vaikun, this is like more like a Aishwarya place, Dvaraka. She was hesitant. She didn't want fully surrender to this devotee because he was exceeding her own bhakti. You know, can you imagine? It's really interesting story. But yeah, this is like the different type of devotees who ask different things from Krishna. They ask some liberation, some ask for opulence, some ask for position, and Krishna, he offers them accordingly, according to his own wish. Yeah, so it's a good point that he was asking for liberation, but for the reason because he knew it will be difficult to continue his devotional life in this body of an elephant. Because imagine you have a body of elephant, like it's not easy to do temple, you know. Like you come here, they have to make a special door for you. If you want to dress in the dhotis, you will need like such a big dhoti, you know. The elephants, they also tend to, after they take bath, they smear that dust or some mud on their body. So it's very difficult to maintain cleanliness, you know? Or it's difficult to join ashram, you know, when you're like an elephant. It's like normally they don't accept many elephants in the in brahmachari ashram, you know, for like practical reasons. Of course, it could be like a temple or elephant, like in South India or in Mayapur, they have the temple elephants. They go on processions, and these elephants, they're devotees. They put on tilak, but you can see in their eyes that the consciousness is covered by ignorance, and he knew that, so he didn't want to continue like that, you know. So for him to achieve that sarupya mukti was better than to ask for something material, because he could also ask for something material benediction, but he didn't. He got this realization. So this realization is very important, to get some realization, you know. We have to get it somehow. Either we get it voluntarily by free will surrender, or we get it Krishna will force us by different circumstances, which may not be very pleasant, but we have to get it somehow, that the realizations that this material world is just a place of suffering. When we have the young body, it's more difficult because you can still enjoy the body and you can still make some money and travel, do whatever you like, do some hobbies, whatever you want to do in your life. But once you get older and the body gets sick and you're tired more, you get more pain, then that realization is stronger, you know. Jai. Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Samata Bhakta ki jai. Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Paramananda. Sorry?
Your name?
Tribanga Das.
Shivanga. He's based from